Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Goodison Park is just getting underway as Everton take on Spurs. This is Antonio Conte's first Premier League game in charge of Spurs, and a big task here against an Everton side who at some point have to start showing some better form. It's been a very difficult month of October for Rafa Benitez's side. Having drawn with Manchester United right at the beginning of the month, they followed that up with 3 defeats, 2 of them at home against West Ham in that amazing game against Watford where they lost 5-2. Their last game out was a 2-1 defeat against Wolves. Spurs, after that 3-0 defeat at home to Manchester United. They did beat Vitesse Arnhem 3-2 in Antonio Conte's first game in charge, though it wasn't all plain sailing. Did have a red card and having had a 3-0 lead, they almost got pegged back towards the end of the game before they won 3-2. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Matt Guy taking you through the action. And Matt, the way Everton are playing, it's very hard to know how this game's going to go. Do you expect Spurs to try and go on the front foot?
I do. The way they scored 3 goals, of course, before then conceding against Vitesse was good, and Conte has obviously got this front line working for Spurs. For me, it suits Harry Kane then being able to sit off and allow Son and Lucas Moura to run past him. I do expect them to score today. Having said that, though, Everton have scored 16 so far this season, which is almost double what Spurs have picked up, despite the fact that they're on level points.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a decent start to the season for Everton, but as I say, things have just fallen away in the last month or so, and Everton now in possession, trying to get forward down the right-hand side is Anthony Gordon. Gets to the edge of the area, puts a cross in just a little bit too high. Demarai Gray is chasing this one down the left-hand side. He keeps it in play, goes back to Luca Digne, and now it's Alain going back towards Fabien Delph. So a bright start here for Everton, trying to get forward straight away. Just to remind you of the 2 teams. It's Jordan Pickford in goal for Everton with a back 4 of Seamus Coleman, Ben Godfrey, Michael Keane and Luca Digne. The 4 in midfield are Anthony Gordon, Fabien Delph, Alain and Andros Townsend. I'll come back to that in a second because Spurs were on the attack down the right-hand side. It's Højbjerg that had got through. The ball is still kept alive by Emerson. Tries to thread that one through towards Lucas Moura, but it's cleared and out for a throw. So the midfield for Everton, Anthony Gordon, Fabien Delph, Alain and Andros Townsend, with Richarlison and Demarai Gray as the 2 up front for Spurs. It's Hugo Lloris in goal. Back 3 of Christian Romero, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. The 2 wide men are Emerson Royal and Sergio Reguilon. And the 2 in midfield, holding midfielders are Pierre Højbjerg and Ollie Skip, with Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane as the 3 up front. So the ball is now down the left-hand side as Everton look. Luca Digne won that ball off Emerson, but then slices his clearance slightly, and it is out for a throw down the right-hand side. Chance now for Spurs to try and keep a bit of possession. And Eric Dyer now going square towards Ben Davies. Well, it was a difficult start, really, for Nuno Espirito Santo. You always felt as though he was on a bit of a hiding to nothing, because he knew, and the rest of the football world knew, that he wasn't really Spurs' first choice. Yeah,
absolutely. They were scrapping around for managers, weren't they? And Conte was one of their choices that turned them down in the end. But Everton almost winning the ball back off Spurs there. But yeah, it was one of those. It's never a good situation to go into a club when they don't necessarily want you first, is it? And didn't quite work. He never really settled with a formation. He obviously at Wolves had that 5 at the back, and he even had Doherty at Spurs, but rarely seemed to play him, and it just didn't fit, did it?
No, it just seemed that quite early on there was a bit of a discourse with a couple of the players. I think Harry Winks was one player who was supposed to have had a bit of a problem with Nuno as well. And once that happens, once you get a couple of influential players in the dressing room starting to doubt the manager, that filters through to the younger players as well. But you'd imagine, although Nuno certainly wasn't a weak character, but with the way Antonio Conte sets his teams up, the way he manages his clubs, you'd imagine that there's going to be a bit more steel about the way he wants to do things. Camera was just focusing on Daniel Levy there, of course. He's been a busy man over the last few months, having to replace one manager, then replace him again.
I do wonder as well with the situation at Manchester United whether that forced Levy's hand into quickly getting Conte as quick as possible after that Liverpool result that Man United had.
I think that there's definitely some truth in that. There was he was certainly on the United shortlist for some time. It was certainly rumoured to be anyway, Antonio Conte. And the United struggles continuing with that defeat against Manchester City yesterday. But 4 minutes gone here. It is goalless. A bit of a midfield battle so far. Not too much happening in front of goal. There are 2 other games being played in the Premier League at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It is goalless between Arsenal and Watford, and Leeds United and Leicester City. All 3 games are available on our service, as now Eric Dyer plays it square to Ben Davies. Son just dropping a little bit deeper. Spurs already starting to shade the possession in these first 5 minutes. A long ball towards Kane, headed away by Ben Godfrey. It's with Sergio Reguilon now, who just overplays that pass back to Ben Davies, and that's good play there from the Welsh international, because Richarlison very nearly nipped in there. as Højbjerg now goes square to Romero. Back to Højbjerg. Son under pressure there from Godfrey, and the ball now drops to Alan here for Everton. Over towards the left-hand side. Demarai Gray's got Richarlison ahead of him. Emerson is coming back here to try and stop Demarai Gray, but he keeps possession here for Everton. Goes back towards Alan. Square now to Richarlison. Good challenge there from Christian Romero. Not a good ball though from Ollie Skipp. That's picked off by Ben Godfrey, and Godfrey tries one from the edge of the area, and it's a shot on target, but Anthony Gordon there just stood to the side of his teammate, probably expecting a pass.
Yeah, Gordon should have probably been the option from Godfrey, but after he just won that ball, he had some good momentum going forward, didn't he? So fancied himself with a strike. It had to go almost through Eric Dyer to then get his way towards Hugo Lloris, but good work from Godfrey, and poor passes from both teams, but it also shows how sharp the opposition are in terms of winning the ball back.
Well, I think the way teams set up now, because there is so much square play, because teams do play out from the back, it's just that there's always that increased risk that you could end up losing a ball. And as I say, and once again, Emerson there playing a pass which was slightly skewed, but Højbjerg able to recover it this time. And Davis now over towards Reguilón down the left-hand side. He's under pressure from Anthony Gordon. Bit of a collision there with Andros Townsend as well. Of course, a man with Spurs connections. Having started his career there, can never really bed down as at White Hart Lane as it was then, of course. But I think it's a very good signing for Everton. I was quite surprised that Palace let him go, really.
Yeah, especially for, well, it's one of those. He was a good player. He was a very certain squad player. He was always battling for the team, but he was never really one that was going to push on and get that next level of quality, was he? And that sometimes works against the player, but he's shown the moments in a Palace shirt, especially that volley, of course, who everyone remembers at Manchester City. He's certainly got a lot of quality about him, but never really hit the heights, did he?
Well, as I say, he sort of flirted with the England squad on a couple of occasions as well. It's never really, as you said, perhaps just that consistency, that keeping that form course. It's not easy. Højbjerg now trips Andros Townsend. It's about 30 yards out. It's over on the left-hand side. This is a good chance now for Everton from this set piece. Demarai Gray is standing over it. But just a little bit too wide for Gray to think about a shot, but he could certainly put in an in-swinging cross here to put this Tottenham defence under pressure. Spurs have set up at the edge of the box with an offside line. It's actually a short ball from Demarai Gray to Fabian Delph, who then floats one towards the back post. And Michael Keane was arriving there, but his header goes over the bar. The angles were working against him, really. But it was a decent move from Everton. I thought initially it might have just been an idea of Gray crossing it in, but it was a good ball from Delph.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of a central, very straight ball going into a box from a set piece like that, like the one from Delph. I much prefer a cross from Gray, but having said that, they worked it well, didn't they? And if Keane had just kept it down and kept it in front of the goal, it could have caused Hugo Lloris a lot of problems. Yeah,
just to tell you, Bukayo Saka has given Arsenal an early lead against Watford after 8 minutes there. So it's Arsenal 1, Watford. That's the only goal in the Premier League so far today. There's one more game coming up at 4:30 this afternoon, also on our service. West Ham United taking on Liverpool. But here at Goodison Park, 8 minutes gone. Goalless between Everton and Spurs, and it is Spurs now pushing out from the back here with Romero, finding Lucas Moura under pressure there from his fellow compatriot Alan. Now the ball going back towards Eric Dyer. There's plenty of Everton players in the Spurs half, though, as Spurs are in possession, trying to press as high up the field as they can. As Ben Davis's pass, Son then bundled into by Ben Godfrey. And Son stays down. I mean, Godfrey was very quick to sort of try and see if Son was okay. Spurs wanted to take the free kick quickly, but referee Chris Kavanagh just wants to see if the Korean's okay.
Yeah, it was a bump in the back, wasn't it, from Godfrey initially, and then Son is saying that he got kicked from Godfrey, but was fine enough to tell the referee all about it, but then goes back to holding his side again.
Yeah, there's a knee into the thigh there, and then there's a boot in. Yeah, that, and then another one from Coleman as well, sort of runs into Son twice there. So yeah, he's been battered a couple of times there, Heung-min Son, and the referee just trying to calm Son down. But I think he feels as though he was really quite badly fouled there, Son, just having to get over it now. Really, the referee wasn't too concerned about that at all. Spurs have taken the free kick short. Skip over towards Romero on the right-hand side. Now it's back to Højbjerg. So over again towards the left-hand side now for Reguilón, as Spurs looking to try and push forward. Reguilón getting away here from Anthony Gordon. Can't get past Seamus Coleman, though. He's out for a throw to Spurs, level with the edge of the Everton penalty area. It's Reguilón with the throw. Skip ducks out the way of it, but that was all intentional, so Højbjerg could pick the ball up just behind him. And now Romero trying to get a ball over towards the left-hand side, but he's overhit that by about 10 yards And that is out for a throw to Everton. 10 minutes in, Antonio Conte hasn't really seen his side put together an attack yet.
No, he knows he's got a lot of work to do at this Tottenham Hotspur side, doesn't he? And of course he'll want some transfer windows to try and implement exactly which players he wants into this system. But he, as you mentioned earlier, he's going to discipline this side, isn't he, in terms of defence, and get them working together and get them into this 5 at the back system and working like that for the rest of his tenure, you would have thought. But yeah, he's not really seen his side going forward as of yet. But it is an away game, and Everton and Goodison Park can sometimes be a little bit of a fortress when they get up.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not been a fortress just recently for Everton, but as you say, when things are going well for Everton, this is not an easy place to play. One of those old-fashioned stadiums where everyone's very, very close. But for the time being, Spurs are enjoying a bit more possession now in these last 3 or 4 minutes, but it's all around about the halfway line. They've not really got close to Jordan Pickford's penalty area so far. Harry Kane's, I think, only had one touch of the ball, as it's now Ollie Skip switching play over towards the right-hand side, looking for Emerson Royal. Good header away by Luca Digne. Throw to Spurs. Ball back to Højbjerg, and now Lucas Moura back to Emerson. Just a little bit more of a spring and a step for Spurs now, but again, Everton have got that half of the field well sewn up. Tottenham back over towards the halfway line, and Ben Davies now finding Sergio Reguilón down the left-hand side. Davies was waiting for the return pass. Good play there from Fabian Delph, and now it's a chance for a counter here for Everton, and Sergio Reguilón is going to be the first player booked in this game as he takes out Andros Townsend.
Yeah, counter-attacking chance. The man he's got in front of him, it's Andros Townsend. He's touched the ball on, he cuts across him, and Reguilón there, all he's done is put 2 hands in the back of Townsend and absolutely shoved him forward, so he's always going to pick up a booking there.
Yeah, and I always wonder whether, because I think those sorts of bookings are quite often excused by fans saying, oh, well, he's trying to take one for the team, but it's still in the Everton half. I'm not sure that there was that much of a danger, and there were Tottenham's players in front of Townsend as well.
Yeah, you can understand it when there maybe is only 2 defenders back and it's a really quick player, but it's Townsend, there's about 4 defenders back, if not 5, so I don't think he needs to do it.
Yes, and now he's got a real problem there, Sergio Reguilón, because he has got a couple of quick players playing against him on that side. He's going to have to watch it, having been booked in just the 11th minute. Throw on to Everton down the right-hand side. It's Seamus Coleman into Richarlison. Has to flick that ball into Townsend. Skip gets in the way, and he finds Kane. Has had to drop a long way into his own half just to get possession. Kane back to Son down the left-hand side. Good challenge there from Ben Godfrey. I think he might have even been fouled there, says the referee, which is going to be quite ironic for Son, considering the kicking he got a few minutes before.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good athlete as well, isn't he? Godfrey turned and ran quickly. Just looking at this Everton midfield line at this moment, of course, Conte with this 5 at the back, and Rafa Benitez is a bit of a tactical tinkerer, isn't he, really? I think it looks to me as though Gray is out on the left and Townsend is in a more central position, which is allowing Alan and Delph to sit alongside him.
Yeah, I had it written up as a sort of more or less a 4-4-2, but it isn't like that. You're absolutely right. We can see that now from the way Spurs are taking this short goal kick, that there seems to be 3 Everton players sort of waiting at the edge of the box. Can tell you, by the way, that Bukayo Saka goal for Arsenal was disallowed for offside after a VAR review, so it's still goalless in all 3 2:00 kickoffs in the Premier League today. Here come Everton now, though, with Alan trying to flick a ball through towards Richarlison inside the penalty area. Eric Dyer gets himself in the way, and now a chance for a counter for Spurs as Højbjerg brings the ball away, plays it back to Emerson, back to Højbjerg. Good play there from Spurs to keep possession. Lucas Moura drops a shoulder and gets away from Delph, but Townsend puts the challenge in, and the Toffees are back in possession here with Delph going square to Digne. Now it's Alan down the left-hand side. Spurs playing quite a high line, so we couldn't really play a ball towards the box, and then the pass he gives to Demarai Gray was, using a rugby expression, it was a bit of a hospital pass, really, wasn't
yeah,
it?
It's a shocker, isn't it, from Alan, for such an experienced international that's played across Italy and England. It's a really horrible pass. Demarai Gray almost ended up injuring himself on the advertising.
Yeah, and he sort of looked back at his teammate as well, thinking, I've seen you do 50-yard passes in training that are better than that, and that wasn't even 10 yards, and he couldn't pick out his teammate. But Spurs having to work hard to clear the ball. That's a good clearance as well from Højbjerg. It ends up like a good through ball here for Reguilón, who plays it just a little bit too far ahead of himself. And Pickford, as is his way, charges out from his penalty area and is able to make the save. Now Lloris has to charge out from his penalty area because of Pickford's long clearance. Dyer wanted to leave it for his goalkeeper, and Lloris just felt as though he might have to head it in the end. But danger averted. Harry Kane almost got away from Fabian Delph. The game's just picking up in pace slightly now.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very, very close opening there, wasn't it, when Kane tried to flick it around the corner in towards Son, but it was well won at the back, I think, by Michael Keane, was the first man that came in to make the tackle. But yeah, as you say, both keepers getting involved. It's going backwards to forwards pretty quickly now, and hopefully an opening chance that we can see.
Absolutely, yes. And Jordan Pickford, he knows he's under pressure now with some world-class saves from Aaron Ramsdale in the last few weeks. Ramsdale is in the latest England squad, and with them playing slightly lesser sides in this next international break, there may be a chance now for Ramsdale to try and stake his claim. But in the meantime, it's a good challenge there from Højbjerg. Puts the ball out for a throw. Demarai Gray couldn't quite keep possession there for Everton down the left. Romero now to Emerson Royal. And a bit of pressure here on Romero. He's able to clear that into midfield, but it's straight to Ben Godfrey. And Spurs just lacking a bit of an outlet right now as Everton trying to put pressure on again here with Michael Keane's ball towards the edge of the area. Richarlison just getting tangled up there with Romero. And, it's now Eric Dyer bringing the ball out here for Spurs. Just thinking from Spurs' point of view, they're just not getting possession high enough the field at the moment.
Yeah, it can sometimes be the drawback of a 5 at the back or a 3 at the back system, can't it? You can just often have the ball in and around your centre halves and not enough men in midfield, because he does play Conte with 2 men in midfield, with then 3 going forward, and it's reliant on those wide forwards alongside the striker to be able to drop into midfield and get that possession higher up the field. But as you say, they haven't really been able to do so. I think that's just as much down to Everton's display so far. They've been solid in midfield, haven't they? They've been good tactically, just they're not allowing them to get through, and it's just evened itself out.
Yeah, and certainly Everton now, just in the last few minutes, seeing a lot more of the ball. Spurs pressing in midfield here, but it's with Fabian Delph, and he spots the run of Seamus Coleman down the right-hand side. Coleman gets to the edge of the area. He's got to Gordon and Townsend ahead of him. It goes to Townsend. That's a poor ball, though, from Andros Townsend, straight to Harry Kane. And now Son is pretty much playing as a midfielder, defensive midfielder here for Spurs. He was that deep. Spurs struggled to get the ball away. Townsend now wins it back for Everton. Plays it into Demarai Gray. Back over towards Coleman on the right-hand side. He plays it back to Delph. Delph now to Alan. It's opening up a little bit in front of Alan here in midfield. He finds Dino, volleys it first time across goal. It was the right idea. Nobody gambled, though, although Anthony Gordon can still keep the ball in play down the right-hand side. And he goes back towards Coleman. Townsend now back to Fabian Delph. Delph with a right-footed cross this time, headed away by Eric Dyer back into midfield. Kane and Delph fighting for that one. It is Harry Kane that comes away with the ball, and he tries to thread one through towards Højbjerg. He can't get it, but Lucas Moura mops up, and he's able to go now towards the edge of the area, skips past a couple of players and strikes it towards goal. Charged down by the back of Michael Keane, and it's eventually cleared by Seamus Coleman. Richarlison chasing this one down. But that should be easy enough for Eric Dyer to go back to Lloris. But that was started to look good there for Spurs for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when Spurs have got the ball in possession at the back, it doesn't seem to have much life in the game. But as soon as Everton then throw themselves forward with bodies, then Spurs are very good at counter-attacking with that pace that they've got. I mean, what a ball from Digne on the left-hand side. You just wonder if Calvert-Lewin's on the pitch, he's tapping that one home.
Yeah, there was nobody, say, with Richarlison is very much a forward. He is a striker, but just didn't get far enough into the box there to try and take advantage of that. As Kane now moves forward, gets to the edge of the area, his strike charged down once again by Michael Keane. The loose ball now drops out to Reguilon. He had Son next to him. He tried to flick it to Lucas Moura. Couldn't find his teammate, but Moura now does get the ball, and he finds Kane in the box. Tries to spin away and get a shot away. It's charged down. There's a loose ball still. Might be there for Son before eventually Michael Keane clears it. And after 80 minutes of virtually nothing happening in the Everton box, it's all starting to kick off now.
Yeah, they're doing well here. Spurs getting forward and getting the ball into Kane in and around those areas. Over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, there's been criticism of Kane, hasn't there, where he's picked up the ball too deep and not found himself forward enough, but he's been in some good areas so far. He just turned the wrong way, I feel, for that time. Turned to his right foot, which opened up the space for the Everton players to then get into. Whereas if he was on his left foot, he could have struck it a bit quicker. I
think he could have certainly got a shot away quicker there, as Anthony Gordon just trips Sergio Reguilon. Free kick to Spurs, which they've taken short. It's a possession stat. That's quite a surprise, actually. It's 60-40 in favour of Spurs. It just goes to show that Everton have been a lot more productive with their 40%, because I actually thought, looking at it before we saw that stat, that it might be either even or maybe even Everton slightly shading it.
Yeah, I think all that, pretty much all that 40% for Spurs has been within the centre halves as well. So, yeah, Everton have been solid so far. They've held the ball well and got a couple of fouls in there as well, not just the Richarlison one that's been given, but I think it was Gordon just before was caught by Oli Skip.
I thought he might have been, yeah, but here, as you mentioned, Richarlison is brought down by Christian Romero. It's again about 35 yards out, but a chance for Everton to try and work this set piece. You can see the two managers now stood up on the touchline, Rafa Benitez and Antonio Conte. Both, I think, would say that their side have had some good moments in the early stages of this game. But once again, Spurs setting up level with the edge of the D with their offside line. It's left-footed Andros Townsend standing over. It's too far for a shot, but again, it's how you surprise the defence when it's quite a central position for this free kick. Townsend does drive that towards goal, and that's the problem, isn't it? When it's that central, you either have to play it square and then get a ball in, or float it into the box. But if you float it in, then everyone can see it coming a mile off.
Yeah, absolutely. It sometimes needs a bit of a routine in terms of a bit of movement in the round, and then somebody to run wide, doesn't it, to then get a cross in from a wide position. But yeah, not the greatest ball there from Townsend, who can hit them on either foot, and he decided to go left-footed there.
Yeah, I think he is more left-footed, isn't he? But as you say, he's right, he's still very good for both shots and crosses. As Spurs now just making a bit of a mess of playing out from the back. Rafa Benitez there in discussion with Big Duncan Ferguson, just trying to get some instructions. That looks like he was trying to say something to Anthony Gordon there, who has got the ball now. He plays it back towards Seamus Coleman under pressure from Heung-min Son. Ball played back all the way towards Jordan Pickford, and Pickford sweeping that one over towards the left-hand side, headed forward by Emerson Royale, and Lucas Moura just about keeps this in play. And the Spurs now able to try and keep possession here in midfield as Højbjerg, I think he was brought down there by Alan. There wasn't too much contact, but you have to say that without Alan being there, then Højbjerg probably controls that one.
Yeah, two experienced players. Højbjerg got his body in front and then kept switching sides whichever way Alan went as well, so just kept himself in front, didn't he, and eventually got the nick. But you have to say, just seeing that ball over to the left-hand side of our screens, then over towards Emerson Royale, I thought, he's got to do well to reach that ball, and he leaped so high in the air. He's such an athlete, isn't he?
Ronaldo-esque, wasn't
he?
They always use him as a sort of gauge now for how well players can hang in the air. But certainly Emerson did very well there to get up there and win that header. But now Kane does well to keep possession for Spurs, and he plays it into the left-hand channel. It's Reguilon's ball into the box, and Emerson's arriving inside the penalty area. But there's an Everton player just in front of him. I think it might have actually been Demarai Gray coming back into his own penalty area here. I think it was, yeah. And this just does enough to put off Spurs' right back. We see from this cross here, Matt, it's Demarai Gray. It's not really marking Emerson, but just his presence, I think, puts him off a little bit.
Yeah, you've got to obviously head through the ball going forward, and you feel, oh no, am I going to run straight into the back of the defender and hurt myself here? But it's that man Emerson once again.
He is, yeah.
At the back post. It's a very good aerial threat in there.
Yeah, well, he's a defender getting forward, and Demarai Gray pretty much a winger, a striker, certainly a forward for Everton today. He was back inside his penalty area trying to help in defence. As Pickford's long goal kick headed on now by Richarlison. Anthony Gordon's chasing that one, but Eric Dyer is there first for Spurs. He plays it up to the halfway line. Son now gets that ball into Kane. Challenge there from a combination of Delph and Richarlison. Ball now out for a throw to the visitors. It's 23 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Everton 0, Spurs 0, and it will be Matt to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, cheers, Paul. It's gone quickly, I have to say as well. That opening 23 minutes, the Spurs give the ball away. It's Reguilon in towards Demarai Gray. On his right foot now, shoots from distance, deflects back off him, and he's easily cleared in the end by Emerson Royale. Maybe a chance for Spurs to get forward themselves. Højbjerg battling in there with three Everton players. In the end, he gets a knock from Coleman, who gives him some verbal abuse afterwards, that is.
Well, that's Seamus Coleman's way, and to be fair, Højbjerg isn't shy in giving his opinion on the field either. No. Looking a little bit bemused there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coleman definitely won the ball, and it's just how much of Højbjerg he got, because he booted the ball straight into the... oh no, he didn't actually see in the replay.
It looks like Townsend got the ball after after Coleman had tripped Højbjerg a little bit, and it's almost as if Coleman just as an extra precaution was blaming the Spurs man for that one.
So Emerson gets forward on the right hand side. Good tackle in there from Alan on Lucas Moura. Fed in towards Fabian Delph now, out to the right hand side to find Coleman. Anthony Gordon set down that right hand side, but he comes inside instead to Ben Godfrey. And Rafa Benitez on the touchline, under pressure over recent weeks from Everton fans who haven't taken too much of a liking to him, given his history across the city, but he's playing the youngster Anthony Gordon almost. He's been playing well, Gordon, but almost to get into the fans' books as well, you feel, as a long ball comes forward. That's a poor one. Goes drifting out for a Spurs goal kick in then. That one from another youngster, this time Godfrey.
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple of the youth Everton players on the bench as well, in John Joe Kenny and Tom Davies. But as you said, I think because of his Liverpool connections, there was always going to be that little bit of doubt in the Everton fans' minds. But at the same time, he's here to do a job. He wants to maintain his reputation as a top manager, and I think that could only benefit Everton as Spurs potentially on the counter. But that's a good challenge there from Digne, who's then clattered into by Emerson.
Yeah, Emerson Royal got there late on Luca Digne. Luca Digne knocked the ball down the line. He's holding his shoulder, and Chris Kavanagh saying that there's nothing more in that. It's just a coming together. They both went for it. He's just a split second too late. He's going to be absolutely fine here, Luca Digne, but he certainly got there first. And Emerson Royal, as we're saying, is a big athlete and runs straight into him. And Digne is a relatively slight man in comparison to Emerson Royal. And in the end, just ends up colliding straight into him, but all is well. Players continued. Long ball over the top towards Richarlison. Once again, it's Hugo Lloris coming out quickly and heads the ball out of play over on the far side of the field. Anthony Gordon will try and gather the ball as quickly as possible to take a throw in, but Everton have given the ball away. As Skip steps into midfield, gives it to Lucas Moura, tries to get past Delph, who slides in. He says he won the ball. It's a foul being given by Chris Kavanagh, and that's going to be a yellow card for Delph.
Yeah, Delph almost in a panic there trying to stop the referee from booking him. But I don't think that it's going to change Chris Kavanagh's mind, and a couple of Spurs players giving their thoughts to Delph as well. Ooh, I tell you what, he gets the ball, and I don't think he gets any of the man until after he's made the challenge and won the ball. Although he does go through that left leg of Lucas Moura, and in this day and age, if you make any contact with the player as you're sliding in, but gives the referee a really difficult choice there.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that the angle that the referee's looking at it as well doesn't help Delph, because the ball's on the other side of the challenge, isn't it? So yellow card for Delph. It's second yellow card of the game. Reguilon with the first earlier on, so both sides have picked up one already. As Højbjerg goes to the left hand side into Davies. Good ball down the line in towards Reguilon as Coleman comes across to tackle.
Yeah, we do have our first goal. We had a goal at the Emirates, which was disallowed for offside, but now Leeds United have taken the lead against Leicester City, and it's Rafinha who's been in excellent form just recently, getting the goal for the home side.
Yeah, I think Rafinha's a fantastic player myself, and Leeds have been struggling. If it wasn't for him, just think where they could have been. He's been absolutely brilliant this season, and a lot of big clubs, I'm sure, are looking at him. And they thought maybe we could have had him for a steal like Leeds had him before, because his resale value will be a lot bigger than they bought him for. So Everton cleared the ball out from the back into Højbjerg. So Lucas Moura just turns quickly in midfield, feeds it into the centre circle for Eric Dyer. I have to say, I think does suit this five at the back. Same as Ben Davies, he plays it in a Welsh shirt. Eric Dyer has been a midfielder and a central defender in his time. I think this middle of the back three certainly helps him, as it's switched out to the right hand side into Emerson Royal, into Højbjerg now. Deep lying box-to-box active tackling midfielder in there for Antonio Conte. I'm certain he's going to enjoy his presence in the side as Emerson Royal goes inside to Højbjerg. 1-2, back to the right full-back, in with Lucas. Left-hand side is Davies, looking forward. It's about 10 yards out from the edge of the box, fired through towards Kane. Good tackle from Michael Keane as Andros Townsend picks the ball up, and he's looking for a run down the line. He's asking Richarlison to make a channel run. In the end, Lucas Moura puts in a tackle. And even Townsend then after it is pointing to Richarlison, you've got to make that run. Yeah,
it's a problem when you've got a long period where you've not got much possession or you've not got much attacking possession. The runs that your striker, particularly if you've only got one in this case of Everton, is so important because it gives the team an outlet. And as you said, Townsend just wants to get Richarlison running. I think it's one of those things that you mentioned this earlier with that volley pass from Luca Digne. If Calvert-Lewin was on the pitch, I dare say Townsend wouldn't have to be saying that much to him.
Yep, potentially, and Leeds have been pegged back, by the way, against Leicester. It's Harvey Barnes with that goal.
Absolutely, so Leeds enjoying a lead for about 90 seconds, for the second week in a row, of course, because they did the same against Norwich last week. They scored, and then they gave away a corner kick, and Norwich equalised from that resulting corner kick. So things hotting up nicely at Ellen Road. That game available on our service, as indeed is the Arsenal-Watford game, which is still goalless. And nearly half an hour gone here, and it has gone, despite the fact we've not really seen any clear-cut chances, it has actually gone quickly.
No, it has gone quickly. It's been entertaining battle in the midfield. Quite even, you have to say, as well. Both sides have got forward well, but as you say, yet to have that clear goal-scoring opportunity. But maybe now down the left-hand side as Godfrey puts on those afterburners once again. Gets there before Reguilon is able to cut things out as Gordon tries to go down the line. Good tackle in there from Oli Skip, who is obviously favour of Antonio Conte, straight into the side against Vitesse Arnhem in the midweek game.
Well, if you look at that Spurs bench, Winks, Ndombele, Lo Celso, even Ali playing in central midfield. All those players, you would argue, on paper, are more experienced, more accomplished players than Ollie Skipp, and yet they're still sticking with Ollie Skipp, who was getting games under Nuno as well.
Yeah, it's potentially one of those that those men on the bench don't quite fit the system. Harry Winks is a ball-playing midfielder as opposed to a tackler, isn't he? And Lo Celso's more of an attacking 10, maybe, that sort of thing.
That's similar with Ndombele. I think he was signed initially by Spurs to be a holding midfielder, but it turns out he's better at ranging forward as well.
Yeah, well, I thought at the start of last season, when they had, of course, Jose Mourinho, they were playing Ndombele just in front of Højbjerg and Moussa Sissoko, of course now has moved to Watford. But and then towards the end of Mourinho's term, it was Ndombele alongside Højbjerg, and as you say, I don't think it quite suited him. He wanted to go forward and dribble and turn and produce his skill like he can do, because he is quite an electric player, isn't he?
He is. He absolutely is. I think I say that sometimes there's a little bit of question mark over his consistency, but that's something that can be levelled at most players, really. As a bit of a problem here for Pierre Højbjerg. It looked as though he might need to have some treatment. So Spurs put the ball out, but then Everton quickly give it back, and everything okay with the Dane.
Yeah, and high five between Alan and Højbjerg there. Mutual sign of respect. I think Delph was just caught just before that as well with another late, very close to late challenge. Just a split second between the two men that come towards each other, and Delph goes flying just like Dini did against Emerson Royal as Lloris's goal kick goes up towards Harry Kane. Can't quite control it as Delph is then just clipped once again in the midfield and does go down and wins a free kick with that one, but it's another opportunity today for Delph, isn't it, in the midfield. He's in there because Decore is injured, who's been fantastic in an Everton shirt, but a chance to prove himself in that midfield berth. Of course, over the last however many years across Manchester City, he's been in midfield, he's been at left back, but the left back for Manchester City is not really left back, is it? It's more of a midfielder.
Absolutely, yeah.
So he's moved to Everton now. Highly experienced player, is a good player to have in the squad, that's for certain, as Gordon goes down on the right hand side from another challenge from Reguilon on a yellow card.
He's got to be careful. I mean, as I say, that probably wasn't enough to give him a second yellow. It probably wasn't enough to give him a first yellow if he'd not been booked, but best not to get the referee's attention when you've already had a yellow card, and he's still got a long way to go to try and stay on the pitch as well.
Absolutely, a ball attempted in behind the Spurs defence is cut out by Eric Dyer. Andros Townsend comes back in towards Townsend, feeds it towards Damari Gray, who can't quite get there because the referee gets in his way, but play continues as Alan has the ball. He's got a man out to the wide left with Luca Digne looking for runners. Gray goes down the line, but he comes back towards Alan, steers it in towards the box. Richarlison wins the header. That would have had to be something special from there. It was a floated cross, not much power on it. He had to rise above Ben Davies, and Hugo Lloris was in the net as well. Yeah,
Lloris in the end not called into action as this diagonal ball was played. Richarlison, it's always going to be a difficult one to try and get that on target, especially with Davies jumping with him.
So right hand side, 1-2 with Lucas Moura, comes back once again to Romero, and it's more of this Spurs possession in the back three. As you expect from an Antonio Conte's side, as it goes down the line, down the left in towards Son, but it misses him completely, and Coleman is in there to step across. So now with Keane in the centre circle for Everton, out to the left with Digne. They're not really able to cut open this Spurs side so far. So Delph looking to the right hand side, good ball to find Coleman. Can they double up now with Gordon and himself? Comes inside in towards Townsend, out right footed, whipped in cross towards Richarlison. Romero steps in there, and, half volleys that one away out for a throw in on the far side of the field as Rafa Benitez shows his ball control, just controlling it for Fabian Delph to take the throw. 33.5 minutes gone in this one. Still Everton 0, Tottenham 0. Unofficial off-tube studio commentary. So Matt Guy and Paul Szczerbakowicz. This clash between Rafa Benitez and Antonio Conte's side as Delph deep on the right-hand side goes square across to his midfield partner Alan. For runners in front as Damari Gray goes short. Digne goes in behind on the left, chest it down. Royal puts a foot in there as he knocks it back once again in towards Damari Gray. Bit of trickery from him maybe as Højbjerg just stands up against him. Delph into the feet of Townsend. He goes down. There's a few claims for a potential penalty, maybe a free kick. It was very close to the edge of the box, but Spurs continue down the left. Reguilon trying to go inside. It deflects towards Son. It goes well in front of him though, and then turned away. And Alan looks to come forward now for Everton. Space on the right hand side. It's Gordon in behind. He's got Townsend on the overlap. Richarlison inside, goes towards Townsend. Looks to cut this one back towards Richarlison. Bounces back to the edge of the box. Alan stops quickly. Maybe a shot. Surely a shot going to come in at some point. Damari Gray blocked away by Romero. and the ball goes into the air and it's headed back, and Lucas Moura can pick it up. The game is getting quick.
It is getting quick, and Kane brings the ball forward now for Spurs. They got a chance for a counter.
Tries to fire that forward. It's a horrible ball from Harry Kane. Sliding challenge comes in from Luca Digne, and this game is well opened up. Just this 2-minute spell has just been crazy, but nobody yet to have a shot on goal and challenge either goalkeeper, as Damari Gray eventually does. That one's blocked away, and at least it's going to be a corner.
At least it's going to be a corner, but that counter-attack with Gordon down the right-hand side, I thought once again Richarlison was just taking too long to get into the box. He got across eventually, but everything had to slow down. The ball had to be played back to the edge of the area. We see this here as the ball is played by Alan down the left-hand side towards Damari Gray. This is the second attack from which Everton finally got their corner kick. There's a deflection on the cross which takes it away. Richarlison was diving in, but now a good chance for Everton from the corner. I can tell you that Arsenal have missed a penalty against Watford. So they have a goal disallowed with VAR and now a penalty missed in that first half. And standing over this corner for Everton, it looks like it's Andros Townsend.
Yeah, you just maybe wonder if it's just not Arsenal's day in that one. Two things and two events that have gone completely against them as the corner's whipped towards the near post. It's Lucas Moura with the head on that one. Townsend waiting for it to go for another corner. It goes for a throw. In the end, he's looking for short options now. He maybe could have done with just chesting that one down to whip the ball in because the centre-backs were forward.
I think so. I think he had enough space. I think he had enough time, I should say, to still control that and get a good ball in. I think sometimes it's just the default setting for players. They see that it could be their throw on their corner, so they try and let it go out of play. But Everton now are making a mess of that throw. You can't be offside from the throw, but of course you can be offside from the very next pass, and that's what happened to Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a waste there for Everton and Anthony Gordon, especially given the fact that as soon as the throw-in was, the decision for a throw-in was given, the centre-halves sprinted back into position, Keane and Godfrey, so it was a waste of them to really sprint forward so far. Antonio Conte prowling the touchline at Goodison Park, and he's a very, very animated character, and yet another one in the managerial books within the Premier League that will be prowling the touchlines and have the attention of the fourth official, no doubt, all game long to make sure they don't break the rules in terms of technical areas and all that sort of jazz.
Yeah, well, it's, as I say, managers, especially managers like Antonio Conte, they're almost kicking every ball with their players, aren't they? I know it's been a criticism of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on more than one occasion recently that perhaps he is a little bit too quiet, sits on that elevated dugout at Old Trafford without perhaps standing on the touchline for the whole game. But Everton are just starting to shade it again now. It's been a while since Spurs have had any kind of real attacking possession other than that counter-attack. Yeah,
Everton looking positive as it goes out to Townsend on the right-hand side, whips a deep ball in. It's well headed away by Eric Dyer, who stooped almost a foot off the ground there to head that one away. You just wonder if he could have used his foot, but he decided to use his head, and it worked in the end. Ball comes back to Jordan Pickford outside of his box with 37.5 minutes gone. It's Michael Keane in his own half as Everton just dominating the possession once again. To the right-hand side, Townsend looking for an option in midfield. It fired forward in towards Alan as Delph looks to switch things as Emerson Royals just caught out of slight position for the moment. Touched down by Gray, looking to cut inside of Lucas Moura. Drives past him, looks to cut one way, then the other, still on his foot. Still goes down, then inside the box. Ooh. No penalty. Waved away by the referee. It was Ollie Skip. Gray was slightly off balance, turning one way than the other, but he certainly went down under contact.
He did. The question is, as you say, whether or not he was already going to hit the deck anyway with that little bit of contact, but the referee, Chris Kavanagh, very quick to wave it away.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'll have VAR with a word in his ear just telling him whether his decision was absolutely correct or not, but it was one of those. Gray was weaving one way than the other, and he's in behind once again now as Hugo Lloris just runs out to the edge of his box and catches that one before Gray can get to it. But it was fantastic skill from Damari Gray, bought on such a cheap fee from Everton, from Germany of course, and he started this season in fantastic form and showed it there with that dribbling skill. He
really did. Just another one from the managers, if you like, grapevine, is that in the last few minutes confirmation that Dean Smith has been sacked by Aston Villa.
Right, okay. He's been under pressure, hasn't he? They're level on points with
Leeds,
and Leeds have been under pressure
as well. On a personal level for Dean Smith, it'll be a very sad day because he is a lifelong Villa fan. His dad was a steward at Villa Park back in the day. He was a lower league footballer that never would have played for Villa as a player. So to have managed and got them promoted to the Premier League is a huge thing for him. So it will be a very sad day for Dean Smith, but that is Premier League management. It's usually 5 to 10 results you've got if things are going badly. If you can't fix them, then that's you done really, isn't it?
Yeah, they're on 10 points after 11 games. They're only 2 ahead of Burnley and 5 ahead of Newcastle and Norwich at the bottom of the table. I just wonder who they will bring in now. He spent a lot of money, Dean Smith, after the sale of Jack Grealish, of course, as Tottenham just tried to work things quickly, but Delph stepped in and intercepted really well there for the Toffees. As now Damari Gray looking to get down the byline against Romero, as Christian Romero that one is, as it comes out to the right hand side now with Anthony Gordon looking to maybe go one way, then the other, goes down the line, cuts it back towards Andros Townsend, back into Ben Godfrey. It was good work from Gray on the left hand side to try and beat his man. It's the first time he's really been in behind Emerson Royale. Stepping in there is Reguilon, wins the ball back. Kane then playing it back, calm work as Son just holds things up. Good work from Tottenham to play out from the back there. Good technical skill in there, passing there. As the last 10 minutes, the possession has swung massively Everton's way, 74% of it, as Richarlison slides in on Emerson Royale, who's picked up a little bit of a knock from that tackle. It looks as though he's okay to continue. Now Spurs looking to spread the play. It's a ball from Højbjerg up to the left-hand side. That's too far in front of Reguilon, who goes out for a throw-in over on the far side of the field. As once again, Conte prowling down the touchline, screaming at his players. There's going to be no respite, is there, for the ears of Tottenham players?
No, they're going to have every move dictated to them here from the touchline. And you can hear that we can see Antonio Conte really trying to set his players up here. And there's a bit of an injury break now, as you can see one of the physios running on.
Yeah, it's Richarlison who's taken a knock. Top of the shin, maybe lower knee. In front,
yeah, he is quite injury prone, Richarlison. I suppose it's the nature of the kind of player he is. He's quite tall. He's he obviously plays very athletic, and he does just get trodden on there by Emerson Royale. It's one Brazilian colliding with another there, and it's his knee that just tucks in a little bit. And I think Emerson just inadvertently grazes that knee a little bit.
Yeah, he slid in on Emerson Royale. It's the just lower than the knee, the little bump where all the tendons connect to the patella and the top of the knee, and he's just bumped that one off the studs, I think, of Emerson. So certainly a sore one. I expect him to battle through it. I don't think it'll see him out of the game, and they certainly couldn't. They don't want to see him go off. Absolutely, Everton. They could do with him staying on up front.
Absolutely, as you see Antonio Conte there. He was keen for these last few minutes of this first half to resume, although his side have been under the caution the last 10 minutes or so. In fact, Spurs haven't really had a period, although they've still been seeing a lot of the ball. The possession stat, as we look now, still 57-43 in favour of Spurs, but you just get the feeling that Everton are doing a lot more with the ball.
Yep, they certainly are. They're probably looking the better as this side comes to the close. If there's going to be a goal at this moment, it looks as though it probably is going to be an Everton one, but such is the nature of football, a counter-attack can sting you, cut you back, and you end up behind even though you're dominating the possession of the play, which is why lots of teams down the years have been successful in counter-attacking football. As Ben Davies heads one forward up towards Harry Kane, lays it off towards Heung-min Son. Good turn around the corner from Skip. Then it's over towards Emerson Royale on the right-hand side as Richarlison is in there. And that was certainly a palm on the number 7 on the back of the Brazilian from Emerson Royale. He's not going to be able to get away with that one. Free kick is given for Everton. Just see a replay. Just pushes him. It's a soft one, but it's just as he's off balance trying to turn. A little bit, yeah.
I still think that if that was on the street, Richarlison wouldn't fall over after a push like that. But again, of course, it is on a football pitch, and players have learned over the years to show referees that they have been fouled. Total passing 194 for Everton, 259 for Spurs. That just sort of marries up with the fact that Spurs have had more possession, but Everton have just been that little bit more direct.
The feet of Christian Romero at the back, gives it short in towards Eric Dyer. Apologise to Christian Romero, called him Sergio Romero earlier, who doesn't play in net, like the former Man United goalkeeper. So Dyer back to Romero at the back as pressure on from Alan into the feet of Lucas, laid off to Højbjerg. Around about 90 seconds to go of regulation time in the first half as it comes out to the left hand side for Spurs, but back once again in towards Ben Davies. Højbjerg back to Ben Davies again. It's just possession for Spurs once again inside their own half, and it's a poor clip ball forward from Davies and easily won by Godfrey. Right hand side in Coleman trying to get things going as he fires that left footed pass well past Anthony Gordon into the advertising boards. So Rafa Benitez on the touchlines eventually takes a seat alongside Duncan Ferguson, no doubt to talk tactics as to what can be done to improve even more in the second half. looks as though Spurs are just trying to see this first half out at the moment with possession at feet, no real urgency to get forward.
No,
and score
I think you absolutely. I think both teams need this half-time break now because they've both seen enough of the ball to encourage them. Everton have been quite direct and had a couple of half chances, a couple of decent crosses into the box. Spurs have had a lot of the ball but not been able to do too much with it. So both teams can certainly do with a little bit of an advice, a few pointers from their respective managers. As Andros Townsend as well, they're just to win the ball back for Everton. And Pickford under pressure from Kane, who's been a shadow for most of this first half.
Yeah, he's had a couple of good pieces of link-up play and counter-attacks, but apart from that, he has been a little bit of a shadow, not really had the service up top, but good work from Son, holds off the man in midfield in Coleman, it gives it out to the right side with Kane, whips it towards the far post, great ball, Reguilon! Great chance for the left wing-back, he got forward in a great position, he was unmarked, great ball by Kane. A little bit too far in front of him. It had a lot of power on it as well, so it's difficult to control.
It did. I mean, it's hard to criticise Reguilon, as you said, because it was a very quick ball over from the right-hand side, but it's such a great chance. He's not actually that far away from goal when he gets the ball, but he's a little bit off balance and he lifts it over the bar. In fairness, it is actually bouncing just as it arrives on his left foot, and he's missing the goal as well. I actually thought he just blazed it over, but he actually missed the near post as well.
Yeah, it's a stretch for the Argentine full-back there, but once again, Kane picks up the ball and instantly creates a chance. They've had 5 attempts at goal. Tottenham not had a single one on target. As for Everton, 6 with 1 on target.
Well, it was that one down the middle from Godfrey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Early on in the first half. That's the only shot on target that we've had.
Yeah, lack of quality in front of goal when it comes to shooting from the two sides so far, as Højbjerg picks up the ball after a layoff from Harry Kane. Maybe a chance here for Spurs once again to pick something up just before the break. Emerson Royal looking to go down the line, finds Højbjerg, just turns back for the moment. I'm going to look at the referee here as he does blow his whistle for half-time. Højbjerg turning back maybe made the decision for him, but best chance of the half probably came to Reguilon right on the death. But it's been an even first half. Everton dominated possession, and after 45 minutes it's Everton 0, Tottenham 0. Join us shortly for the second half.